Hi, Vail Fucci here, also known as the Headshot Doctor. Today, I have the pleasure of walking you through SpotMyPhotos Headshot Mode. Now, one thing I really love about the Headshot Mode is that it has a really great level of customizability. And that means that you can have it all the way from the most simple setup of set it and forget it and just take some shots, all the way to great levels of customizability with retouching availability, being able to have people buy different photos, etc. So I'm going to take you through all of it from the very beginning of the simplest setup to the most complex. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the SpotMyPhotos website and log in. I've already had put in my password and username there, so it just goes, but otherwise you'd need to have that. Now, the first thing you need to do is have an event made up for it. So I'm going to click on New Event. So we're going to go and name one, let's call it SpotMyPhotos Headshot Fun. Now, if you have the type of package with SpotMyPhotos that allows you to do both events and headshots, then you're going to have this event mode switch button here that you can do, radio button. Otherwise, it'll just default right to headshot event. In this case, if you have both, you need to select and choose headshot event. Okay, I'm going to add a new client here. We'll add SpotMyPhotos. Actually, we'll do it all together because that's it. SpotMyPhotos. Okay, and I'm going to click to add right now a logo to go for them. So SpotMyPhotos. Let's see if I have a lovely logo for them. Sure we do. Yay! All right, and create client. Okay, that's been created. You're going to want to click for standard, and then as far as the start date goes, even if you want to test it, that was for an event that's coming up in the future, but you want to be able to test, you can go and put that future date in there. It's not a problem. It will still let you test and work on it from before that. Otherwise, you can also just choose, right now we're doing a test one, the one of the actual date. But oftentimes I'm making these well in advance of the actual events so that I'm not scrambling the morning of my event going, oh no, I gotta make an event. I've got everything all set up. Although if you did, it still doesn't take that long time. I have been there. Okay, as you'll see, we're doing this really quickly. So we've done one for today. You can make the event as long as up to 7 days in total, because oftentimes say you're at a conference and it's a long period of time. I give a nice little cushion there. Okay, add that. Next, the difference of the branding label between standard, white label, and private. Well, if you just click on this and basically anything else in SpotMyPhotos, if you have a question, if you see these little teal things of learn more, or the little bubbles, it will give you information on it. So we'll go here and just see. The one I usually use is standard label, where because I proudly don't mind it saying to spotmyphotos.com type of thing with the URL, and then it shows the company name that's associated with the account. White label would just, instead of saying SpotMyPhotos with it, it goes to having it be your different company name that's going in with it and just saying interactive photography. And then there's private label, which will take out that part entirely and then say someone else wanted to hire you for doing this service, but they didn't want your name being associated with it in any way. That's what private label is, and then you can enter in what that client name would be there. But for now, we're going to go with standard, because that's most of the time what I do. And next is picking between the different photo distribution types. So with photo distribution, what there is are the two differences of live versus approved photos. 99.9% of the time, I use the live photo distribution versus the approved. I'll explain why and also the differences. So with live, the instant that the images go and are uploaded to SpotMyPhotos, as long as a person has had their face spotted in the system, they've been spotted by SpotMyPhotos, be it from a back end of doing it from, say, an app and putting in their phone number or the information there, or if they've done it with the self-registration code of going and taking a shot of a QR code and putting their information in and taking a selfie. As soon as that has been completed, any pictures that are of them from one of this event, as soon as it's put up to the servers to being in SpotMyPhotos, that's going to send those images right to that person's gallery. And if they haven't received any pictures as of yet, they will receive a notification either by a text or an email that will tell them, hey, you've got pictures available. With approved photos, for people to get them, go in on the back end of SpotMyPhotos and tell it, okay, we need to send a message that this is going through and now is the time to do this. I find for myself that I just prefer the live way of having it be instantaneous gratification for people. They're really amazed. But the other thing to note is that with headshots, you don't always have to be taking the photos at that moment and instantly having them go up to SpotMyPhotos. You can always choose to wait to upload those shots once you've gone through, culled out whatever you want, and put that up into an uploader to have it go to SpotMyPhotos, and still do that with the live delivery system. So it's totally up to you. Again, very customizable. And then the next part that I am most excited about, that I love about this feature, is the auto-optimized photos one. I actually worked hand in hand with SpotMyPhotos to create basically kind of like an auto retouch for SpotMyPhotos for the headshot mode. And I want you to know, if you've used it from the SpotMyPhotos for events before, the mains that you have for auto optimize in headshots, what is applied to it is actually quite different from what is applied in the mode when you're in event mode. The reason being is that when you're shooting headshots, we're pretty much assuming you're in a constant light situation. So your white balance shouldn't be changing a whole bunch. You shouldn't be having situations where you've got your exposure changing a whole bunch, because it should be the same from one to the next to the next. So you don't need AI going through and making sure that those things are okay. What we do like having, though, is having those little tweaks to people that makes them feel that much better about themselves when they see the pictures, that little bit of retouching. So the key thing here is that we don't want it to look like too much. You want them to basically just see it and think, I look great, with this. This is amazing. You don't want it to look like it's like filter. So there are situations where you'd have this on, and then one other situation where you might want to turn this off. The time when you'd want this on is if you are not doing a thing of being able to charge people specifically for auto retouching. Because in auto retouching, it basically will just apply this exact same filter, but you're charging them for it. If you do auto optimize with this up front, all the images are just going to have this applied to it automatically. And so you can see how it wouldn't really do anything or do a change if you have it that way already set, and then you have it set to auto optimize again. It wouldn't do any difference or change. So as long as you're not charging for auto retouching, I would highly suggest turning on auto optimize with the photos. And the things that do happen with it, as I said before, it does not change your exposure, it does not change your white balance. What we have it set to do is do ever so slight bit of blemish removal, slightest bit of skin softening, not really, just a tiny, tiny bit there. Little bit removal of those under eye circles, and last but not least, having a little bit of teeth whitening, because who doesn't need that? I mean, really, I could use some right now, I'm sure. So that's the things that we have in there. Again, all of these are done so that they are very subtle. It is not extreme retouching on it there. Okay, we're going to create our event. Create event. Great. Okay, from here, as it says, branding matters, and it really does. You can choose when you're first setting this up to come back and do this later, but I usually do it all in one when I'm setting up an event. For headshots, I find it's very rare that I need to do photo branding here. The branding, what it means is that it's going to go and put stuff on overlay over the picture. It's oftentimes, with events, you'll see like either the sponsors of the event or the name of it at the bottom of the picture there. But when it comes to headshots, it's very rare that you're going to want people having that come in the bottom, because they want to have that for, say, their LinkedIn profile or something, and you don't want having random graphics being in there or chopped off in one way or another. So if you are hired by a sponsor that is really, really gung-ho on making sure that there's some type of watermark or something that tells them that this was sponsored by them on the actual picture, I recommend doing it in a bottom little corner and very faint, not much there. Now, what I do recommend doing is the gallery branding. Now, this is when they go to their gallery, is going to be at the very tip top and the very bottom. So right now, I'm going to pick what usually happens is I put at the top something for the sponsor. Now, what's great is they have it designed so that you can actually upload two different images for both the mobile view and for desktop view. And this is actually really important, because when you're on a phone, you can see it's a vertical view with it there. So if you have something that just is covering this little bit of amount of the screen there, it's going to be very different than if you were viewing it on a desktop computer horizontally. You wouldn't want something that's nearly as long. You'd want it to be much thinner and skinnier like that. So they have made that possible with it there. So, and usually I make these different things on Canva for my different gallery brandings, but also if you sit there and you go, I am just not adept at this at all, what you can do is you can just have the people at SpotMyPhotos have their graphic designer create these things for you, which is also great. And there is a charge for that, but it's really pretty nominal if you are wanting everything to look, tip-top, really professional. So for right now, I'm going to pick one here, and I'm going to pick my header that was for mobile. Recently, I did a headshot event for JP Morgan. Okay, and then I'm going to take the desktop, and then I'm going to put in my footer design, and I do that for both. Now, not every single company that hires you is going to be just glowing of wanting to have your type of branding anywhere on here. Some people will go, yeah, I want that. So even on the header portion, I'd say sponsored by JP Morgan, photos by Vail Fucci Photography. But others, they want all the glory, and that's fine. But when possible, I usually like, at least on the footer, to have my name and information there and a way for people to get in touch with me, both for if they have any problems with their pictures, and in addition to that, if they want to hire me for something in the future because they had a great actual experience with this headshot booth, which has happened. With those, you can go in and make it so that there is a link so that if people happen to click on those parts, it will go to it. So in this case, just for right now, for testing purposes, I'll put in one link here, and on another one, I'll put in my main homepage here. And additionally, if you need even more linkage going on, you can put in additional footer text. So I'm going to have it go one more link out with different things there. So if I needed to have additional things there, I'm going to go down to my additional footer text, and let's say, check us out on Facebook. And then I will click on here. Let me go grab my own Facebook link. Hold on. Copy link address. And coming over to here. Okay. I double click so it's highlighted. Click on link. I paste that, and then I hit enter so that it saves that link with it there. And I can even actually change the stuff here, make some parts bold, and format different things there, make the font. Oh, let's make it really big on there. Check us out on Facebook. All right. And I can even make check us out a different color if I wanted to. Okay. And save and preview the changes. So I'm going to have it email to me this, send the test. All right. Let me view my gallery here. Yes. All right. I'm going to check down here. Oh, we've got our branded stuff there, and check us out on Facebook. Let's click on it. And sure enough, there we go. Takes me right to my Facebook page. So you can have additional links if needs be there, and you can have as many as you want in there. I do recommend keeping it kind of to a minimum, though. So once you've done that and you've saved that, it takes us to your Advanced Settings tab. In this case, if you were just ready for not having anything of having it be that people are going to pay for edits or credits for different images or retouching or any of those things, you're pretty much good to go. But if you wanted some more technical things here, let's go through it. So in the advanced settings, again, we're keeping it on live photos. I'm making sure auto optimize is on. Black and white mode would be if I instantly wanted them to go to black and white, but I definitely don't. These things of the photo feed, that all can stay just as it is. Allow original photo downloads. So what's really neat is SpotMyPhotos has the ability of it initially, just when it goes and puts it in there, it will resize it to 1200 by 1800 of the image, and a nicely done with the file size of the resolution. Still, even though it's smaller, the quality of the image is still quite good. But if you want people to have the ability to download the full size of whatever file it is that you uploaded in the first place, this is where you'd want to click on Allow Original Photo Downloads. We don't want the attendees to be able to view all the event photos, and we don't want them to be able to add ones themselves. This is include past photos link in attendee gallery. If it's something that they have been in past things shot by SpotMyPhotos, any events and stuff like that, if you list this on here, at the bottom of their gallery, it will include a link to past things that they might have been in, which is kind of fun, particularly if you're doing it with events or with past clients that you've done multiple times before. But if you don't want people to seem distracted to seeing anything, whether it was shot by you or other people that were using Spot My Photos showing in their gallery, I would go and turn this off. And then custom terms and disclaimer, if you had the need to put in anything specific that your client has or that you want, that's specifically telling people terms that they have to be okay to before they get their gallery, that's where you're able to put these things in and put the custom terms in. Again, not something I regularly do at all. So I'm going to uncheck that. Advanced preferences. All right. So this is where we get to the type that is for much more complex with it there. For a lot of people, these ones, they really are advanced. It's not necessary for most of their headshot setups. But hi, Vail Fucci here, also known as the Headshot Doctor. Today, I have the pleasure of walking you through SpotMyPhotos headshot mode. Now, one thing I really love about the headshot mode is that it has a really great level of customizability. And that means that you can have it all the way from the most simple setup of set it and forget it and just take some shots, all the way to great levels of customizability with retouching availability, being able to have people buy different photos, etc. So I'm going to take you through all of it from the very beginning of the simplest setup to the most complex. So let's get started. I'm just going to go through this in case you want to know it anyway. So if you want to have the ability to have people be able to select images for image retouching, you'd click this radio button, and that's going to bring up a bunch of different things. We're going to, if you want professional retouching, that means what you probably think of in your standard way of doing retouching for clients, where you take the file, you're going to edit it in any way you want, be it that you're using it and doing Photoshop on your own, using ePhoto, sending it out to a retoucher, whatever it is, so that you get your final image, and then you produce that to the client. That would be professional retouching. Offer basic retouching auto-optimize. This, it will say that it's not going to work at this point because right now, it knows that up here, we had this turned on. If I turn that off with it here, and now I go into this and go into there, and I click on Offer Basic Retouching Auto Optimize, now it will work. But I, most of the time, don't like to do it that way. I want to prefer to have the way that it's automatically already doing those little bits and bobs of retouching that I mentioned earlier, a very simple, minimal retouch. So I keep that on up here. And then I'll go and make sure that down in this part that if I was to offer retouching, I'd have offer professional retouching. Here I can offer a price for it. Let's say that if I'm giving people the option to do retouching, I'd say $50. Now what's really cool is that you have the ability to be able to put it to say, I want to discount a fixed amount for a certain amount of time. So say you're at a conference and you want to incentivize people to want to go ahead and get retouched on their images right away. You might say, okay, I'm going to discount it $10, and I'll say that that would be valid for 2 days after said event. And then after that, that type of deal goes away. And what's really neat is it actually even shows on the page when they're going through it and picking the options of what it is, it will show them that it's a limited time offer. And the same thing would be offered at the possibility if you did the basic retouching of doing that. If you are shooting this for a company and you are having it where they specifically are saying, okay, each person gets one choice of an image that's retouched, but we want to make it so other people could pick additional ones if they wanted to, if they like their image but they want it, well then I can go in and do complimentary retouching credits. So more often than not, what it is they'll have the employee be able to pick one retouched image that they will have. So I would put in one here. If it was that they were allowing them to have two, I'd put two. Because what this is it's going to make it so they are not individually charged for that. It zeroes it out up until a certain amount. I also have the ability to enable coupon codes at checkout so that I can go into a different portion on SpotMyPhotos deep in here, which I'll show you in a moment, as to where coupon codes are that make it that can give additional discounts and override different things. Coupon codes are, you'll go up to the cog for settings, go to account settings, and then go to coupons. And here you can create a coupon, put in whatever code you want. Say, in this case, we were doing SpotMyPhotos rules. The type of it, we gotta do a percentage of the amount off there, of the total, or just an actual specific amount. So say you want to specifically give $20 off, you could do that. If you want it to be a certain percentage of, say, 50% off, wow, huge discount, you can do that. And you can even, if you were doing it for the whole amount, you want to make everything free, you do it of percent off 100%. And then you can also, if you choose to, put in when this expires for the coupon, just like this, pick a date, boom, there it goes. And you can turn on or off this being active with this coupon, the code there. So I just hit create, and there you go. Very simple. It makes it right there. Additionally, you can have the option of image sales. Image sales is different from retouching. Image sales is just making it possible that people are not going to be able to just download the images there without having retouching. It makes it so that you can sell either, as it implies here, unlock the entire gallery, they can download for a certain price everything, or unlock individual photos. The nice thing about unlock entire gallery for people is that it kind of takes it for them, and it takes away that decision paralysis of going like, I don't know, there's like 30 pictures in here, which is my favorite? I don't know, I want to make the wrong decision. So that can be good for people. And then unlock individual photos. So for example, you might want to say unlock entire gallery, $100, discount by 20 for that first bit of a discount for 2 days again. And unlock individual photos, say $25 for a photo, and discounting it by 5, and again doing it for 2 days. And if you want to make sure, say you're at a conference, you've been given the opportunity and the sponsor wants everybody to get at least one picture with it there, I do complimentary photo credits, 1, so that they're able to do that. And again, we had that coupon codes thing was available. Dropbox syncing, this is not something you're likely going to have to encounter whatsoever. It's very rare, but it is nice when you want it, of having it be able to back up immediately to Dropbox, either for yourself to be able to have that, or for the client to be able to access stuff immediately if they need it for presentations, who knows what. With headshots, for headshots, it's way less likely to need this as much as it is when you're doing events and they want those images immediately. Prompt. This is a really interesting one for data collection. With this, the first time that someone goes into the gallery, it's not going to ask them for this different information. But the second time, if they choose to go into the gallery, oh, look at that. New option. Show prompt on attendee first visit. Who would have guessed? But now default to second. But here's the reason why. You may not want that everybody's first experience is giving responses. They want to see those photos. So in general, the reason why it's a default second visit is because it's a nicer experience for people the first time that they go in there to see their pictures right away. That's what you want. But sometimes you'll have clients that really, really want that data collection. It's, the pictures of the carrot for the stick of giving this different data collection information that they want. So in that case, you have the option to put it as attendee first visit. You don't have to choose first name, a phone number, email address. It's just nice that if you want that information collected at the same time, that's fine. So let's just say it was email address you wanted, and you made a question on the lines of, could you see yourself using Vail Fucci for a headshot booth for your company? And I can make my thing, yes, no, or not applicable. And then you can go and you can have up to 3 questions as far as I know. Let me see if that's still the case. Oh my, even more. It just keeps going. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's a good reason why it was originally 3, is because you don't want people getting totally stopped up and going, okay, I'm sick of this, of answering questions. Ask only the the information you really need, and make it as simple as possible. Having those information things of yes, no versus it being a text answer is going to make it that you're going to have much higher throughput of people actually responding. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to delete these questions here, other than the one that we had there, just for saving that. And we'll put right now for show prompt on first visit, so you see it as we go through. On-site printing, if for some reason you need to be printing headshots right there, you could do that But again, it's less likely that you have this happening unless, say, you were at a Comic-Con or something and you're taking headshots of people, maybe. And then sharing station customization. Again, it's stuff if you have a way that people are going and picking out their images that way as well, instead of spotting themselves with a QR code. Not something I've personally done a lot of, but some photographers do it a lot. All right, and then the last thing is the skip photo branding and resizing by particular team members. So with it there, if you have images that are going into the system that you, for one reason or another, say pick to have a size other than your typical 4:6 or 2:3 ratio size for it there. Say you're shooting squares because you're doing for social media stuff and you're trying to make it so that the lines of your lights aren't in the frame or something. What you're going to need to do is make sure you put this skip photo branding and you pick the name of whoever the user is that's doing this. Because otherwise, if you took it as a square and were uploading it as a square or say an 8:10 or something like that, once it goes into the client's gallery, it instead would sandwich the view of it and they would see it only as a 2:3, be it vertical or horizontal orientation. And that's not something you would want to have happen. So this makes the possibility of skipping that. But in this case, since I was planning on shooting landscape orientation anyway, it doesn't really matter. So I'd hit save and preview changes there. And we can see, again, our gallery. If I pop an email, sure, and send test. All right. Now, when we go back and view our gallery and hit yes. All right. We can see our gallery here. And because this is just a sample one, it's not going to automatically trigger my prompt that's in here because it's just the sample. On the actual client's gallery, it would. If you were concerned about seeing that in action, you can always just put in some sample photos and send it to yourself and see in their gallery and see exactly how that would go. So say you want to do that. Let's just for right now, I will do that. I'll throw in a picture of myself. Give it a second. Oh, it's a very large file, but this shows you how large a file you can do. So if you're looking for this QR code, the magical QR code, where you're going to find that is you're going to go under Resources, Account QR Code, Self-Spotting. And it's going to be right there. So for right now, I'm going to self-spot with this, to go to the link that it tells me to. And I'm going to put in my number as it asks me to. I accept the terms and conditions, and I do next step. Next, it's going to ask me to take a selfie. I will do just that. It does not have to be a good selfie. You can tell people it just needs to have their face in it clearly. It's ideal that they are well lit. Doesn't matter if they have glasses on, anything like that. Okay, I'm going to use the photo. It'll upload. Great. And then it tells me a message will be sent when it's ready. And so I'll go back to my events. Photos. Oh, we can see it has found me there. And you can actually see on the back end that because I had auto-optimized, we have the option of, on the back end, being able to download either the original or branded. That would be if you had pieces at the bottom, but it's also the web size. And then the auto-optimized version. Oh, there we go. I got my text message. And I'm going to click on my link. And then now you can see it is coming up right away. You can see you're doing the test that the prompt came up immediately. Can I see myself using Vail Fucci for a headshot booth? Yeah, totally. Proceed to gallery. All right. Now, because we had put of it being one of having the purchase options for people, you'll see it initially has this overlay. This is the default overlay. For me personally, I think that it is too much of a distraction for my clients with it. So I actually make a much more minimal one with it. So I'm going to show you that right now real quick. Hold on. If I go back into Event Settings, Advanced Settings, because we're advanced, and I go for the cost of the protective ones there, I'm going to replace this. And let me see. I type in, I made one that's proof. And you can see proof, and it's going to be proof landscape. And you can see I have it just on the very corners, because realistically for a headshot there, Yeah, someone could go and take a screenshot of the little thing that's on there. But if they're doing that, they're not going to be the people that are going to be buying it anyway, and it's not a big deal to me if it gets lost. If you want something to be more kind of obscuring the stuff with your images, you can totally do that. And you can also use that default one. For me personally, I like having it so that they can see the image better. I'm going to replace this one as well. I'll go proof. Vertical. And again, I was able to easily make this. You could make it easily in Photoshop or in Canva of that particular size, of that 1200 by 1800 size. All right, so I'm going to hit save now. And now you're going to see that, so here's the gallery right now. When I refresh that gallery now, ta-da, now you can see. It still has proof and stuff like that. It goes a little bit on my body, but my face, and as we all know in headshots, that's the thing that makes the most difference is our facial expression. I want people to be able to look at that and really be able to tell. So I usually change it to that. Okay, so now everything is set on the back end for the event. Next is being able to set up our camera.